Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first EMEA MSP webinar. We're going to be spending the next 45 minutes really talking about Sumo Logic and our MSPs and really setting up the session to drive a discussion around some key topics. We have an agenda prepared for you, and this will just follow some very quick introductions to the panel, really understanding where Sumo Logic is today and why it's important for MSPs, and really focusing this agenda on security and looking at security today and how our MSPs and partners are helping our customers today, but really also looking at a real case and a real partner. And I'm excited to have Exitea join us today, and then end with some of the offerings and services that we provide today that really allow our MSPs to expand their business, and then look at a few examples and then close the webinar with a Q&A. So if you have any key questions throughout the webinar, please post them in the Q&A box. But before I go into the webinar, I just want to make a quick introduction, firstly of myself. My name's Colin Fernandez. Just looking at the attendee list, I know some of the people who are attending this webinar. I've been at Sumo Logic for coming on to 4 years, but in the industry for over 35 years. It's a very exciting time for Sumo, and I'm more excited to just introduce my panel today. So we have Roger Shepherd from Sumo Logic, who's our head of global security partners at Sumo. And also joining us is Dale Powers, who will be leading our EMEA practice around with the MSPs. And lastly is Tommaso Bucci, the head of cybersecurity at one of our partners, Exitea. So each of them will actually spend some time talking about some key components to what we're sharing today with our partners. But just to set the scene today, I think it's an important inflection point to really talk about how we're empowering the managed service providers to innovate, build, and drive business growth and expand. So I wanted to start the conversation before I lead into Sumo, is talk about data. For all my life and my career, I've been developing applications and working on technology that has run on IBM, HP, VMware, the mainframe, and it's still out there. But data is a valuable commodity, and it's a product that's affecting the digital economy today. And why I put this slide up is to just reference the growth of machine data, the importance and abilities to really gather that information and drive better business and transform our businesses and organizations today. So a bit about Sumo Logic. As I mentioned to you before, I started around 4 years ago. But for our attendees today, Sumo for 10 years has been pioneering a category around continuous intelligence, really looking at the area around real-time machine data analytics, transforming the tsunami of data that business and applications are generating today. So we have over 125,000 active users. We have over 2,100 customers. But the most important metric here is that when I started at Sumo, we were analyzing 1.2 petabytes a day. And today, we observe and monitor and protect our customer-sensitive telemetry So I just want you to reflect on that growth of data. And as I go through this presentation, I will refer back to some of the use cases. I would really recommend you after this webinar to contact the team, but also really go to our resources and customer resource centers to actually look at some of the cases that I share with you today. The other thing, as a marketeer, it's great to work with technology and innovate with our customers and our partners. And what's really happening today is really looking at the innovation, and Roger will touch on that. But it's important for you to recognize that you want to have technologies and solutions that are pioneering, innovating, progressing, and are also really establishing themselves in the marketplace. So as Gartner visionary for Cloud SIM, as the leader and performer for Cloud SOAR with GigaOM, and with the accolades and recognitions on peer insights, we want to share with you that we are we're transforming and changing, but we're also growing fast. And that's an important point to remember as we build this business together with you, our MSPs, and our partners. So continuous intelligence is a data-driven, cloud-native platform that ingests machine data and then really goes through the motion of deriving actionable intelligence and domain-specific insights for all. And when I mean for all, we talk about business owners, SREs, security specialists, developers, and basically everybody that plays a part in IT and the supply chain. We talk about universal collection because collecting data, I just talked about the scale. It's important to recognize that we need to actually look at a solution that scales with the best-in-class economics that supports your business and really drives that new paradigm forward as we move into the new world. So as I mentioned before, I'm excited to share the stage, and I'd like to introduce Roger Shepherd now to talk about our business with our MSPs and really tell us about what's happening out there and how we're helping our customers. So Roger, take it away.
So thanks for that, Colin. The first thing when you talk about how Sumo Logic works with MSSPs and MSPs is to really understand where the market is going. We've seen a shift over the past several years and even increasing over the past 18 to 24 months of customers who are coming to us interested in our tools, interested in the platform, but also asking for an outcome as opposed to a technology. And what I mean by that is beyond having a technology that scales in the way that they want with the architecture and the reliability, the power of the Sumo platform, they also need help providing kind of the ongoing insight into the platform, the management, and then responding to alerts and so on. And you can see kind of what's going on in the market, generally speaking, and this is from a couple of different sources, but 40% of companies today say they just cannot manage their SIM effectively. One of the things that I've been in security now for over 20 years, and one of the most common refrains that we've seen, especially when you talk about SIM, is it doesn't seem like anybody ever likes their SIM. And that's one thing that's been super refreshing working with Sumo Logic, is we actually have customers now that like the platform and they love getting in and the usability of the data. But even for those people that are trained and effective on it, it's hard to keep people if you do find somebody who can manage your SIM. And the complexity associated with SIMs and the constant kind of evolution of threats has made it almost impossible to manage the SIM effectively, even if from a feature and benefit perspective, it meets their requirements. We're also seeing generally that there's just, through the lack of resources, most companies now, 88% or more, are looking to outsource at least one or more of their security functions. And that shouldn't surprise anyone, right? When you look at the number and types of evolving threats that are out there, The attack surface is larger than it's ever been, with people working from home, with cloud workloads, with distributed workforces, and so on. And then when you think about just the limited resources that are available, I think some estimates that I've seen is a global shortage of cybersecurity professionals of over 2.7 million, and that's growing all the time. A lot of large companies are constantly recruiting at colleges because they need to develop a pipeline because the turnover is so high and resources are so limited. So all that kind of comes together and creates what we're seeing. And if you go to the next slide, in that more and more our customers are working with us either with partners or directly through partners. So earlier, Colin mentioned the over 2,000 customers that we have. That does not include an additional nearly 1,000 customers that we have through service providers. And the reason why that's not counted as individual logos is because the service providers are managing the license on their behalf. And so over the last 12 months, we've actually kind of hit a tipping point where the majority of new customers that are coming on to the Sumo platform are coming through service providers and through resellers who are also providing services. So never really been a better time to work with us, from not just from a technology perspective, but in terms of how we go to market. We go to the next slide. So we work with a lot of service providers that are at various stages of their kind of life cycle of services. We have a lot of MSPs, and when I say MSPs, somebody who's providing managed IT services, maybe cloud services, desktop, network, that sort of thing, but not focused on security, and MSSPs who are either trying to develop a new service that is based on MDR or XDR, and that's something we can talk about more, but focus on managed detection or extended detection across the network, or other MSPs who want to add security services to their portfolio and kind of take advantage of where that market trend is going. And regardless of whether they're replacing legacy SIEMs or building new services from scratch, there's a lot of different things about the platform that we continually hear are the main drivers for coming all over to Sumo. I won't go through every one of these, and of course we'll share this with you after the presentation, but I'll highlight a couple. First of all, scalability is huge. If you do not have a platform that can scale dynamically based upon the data that's coming in from customers, and based upon the variety of data that's coming in from customers and the volume, then you're just not going to be able to compete effectively with modern architectures. So there's a big difference. And as you look at platforms, you'll see some that have a premise kind of architecture and some that are cloud available or they've moved to the cloud. There's a big difference between a platform that has moved into the cloud using VMs and basically kind of replicating their data center infrastructure versus what Sumo has done, which is developed from the ground up a platform that is built for the cloud in the cloud. And that main difference is around the resiliency, the scalability, and the performance that you just can't get when you're taking legacy stuff and trying to put it in the cloud. So by leveraging microservices, by leveraging the backbone of the largest cloud network in the world, we are able to provide the ability to not only turn up services for your customers very fast, but scale regardless of what their data demands are. And data is only increasing. Security these days is less about detection and more about data. And what I mean by that is that there's all kinds of great tools out there to detect threats, but getting that data centralized into a place where you can very efficiently search through it is the difference between identifying a threat and remediating it within a couple of hours and it taking industry average about 6 months to understand that somebody is on your network. So scalability is huge. Obviously, the nice thing about our platform is once people get on, data grows. It always grows and the usage grows. Colin referred to all the different use cases that we have on the platform. It's not just a security platform, it's a data intelligence platform. So when you bring your customers on, they're going to be able to look at their data in ways that you may never have thought of. And there's going to be use cases there for data types that, while they may not have any security context, are valuable to them. That's why we have on average revenue growth with each customer 130%. Even as we're reducing their costs as they grow, they're growing the platform because it's so easy to use and so valuable in terms of looking at that data. And the last thing I'll talk about here is the time to value. This has two components. One, as a service provider, you have the ability to spin up your own org or your own provision, your own customer within minutes. You can provision that customer within the platform, bring on their data, and show them, give them visibility on that data literally the same day. It's unprecedented when it comes to managed SIEM. But also, in terms of your time to value in developing a service, we've seen customers come in, evaluate Sumo, sign with us to start a service provider relationship. And literally from the time that they had our first conversation and the time that they onboarded their first customer, I've seen as fast as 30 to 45 days. So super fast in terms of your ability to take a new service and take it to market. And from day one, you've got an enterprise grade solution that is a leader when it comes to performance, in terms of efficacy, and so on. Next slide. Feel free to, if you have any questions, to put them in. I'm happy to stop as we go through. And again, another one, just to give you an idea, we now have a pretty large pool of service providers that we're working with globally. Tons of opportunity. We still have customers who come to us, give us the technical win. They love Sumo, they like our pricing, but we just don't have the right partner set for them. So there's a ton of opportunity to add partners today. And as we work with these partners, we have a methodology that, if you've ever brought a service to market, will look very, very familiar in terms of understanding, what are you trying to accomplish? What does your customer base look like? What type of competencies do you have today? And how can we help you take this platform that is super powerful and very broad in terms of what we can do with those customers to develop a service that makes sense with your skill set, with your customer base, and the direction that you want to take the service. So this includes not only online and in-person training, and it includes the functionality that service providers need to deliver content to multiple customers, but also marketing support, additional technical support, sales readiness training, and so on. So we have a proven methodology here that has worked very well for our partners. And we'll talk a little bit about who some of those partners are today. And we're very blessed to have one of those partners on to finish up. Next slide. So just kind of some overview in terms of what we're hearing from our partners in terms of how fast they can get to profitability and some of the differentiators between Cloud SIEM Enterprise, which is based in the cloud and kind of the premier security solution that we offer, versus legacy SIEMs that either they're having to install in their data center or are cloud enabled through the partner. One, capital cost obviously is a huge piece. I won't go through all of this, but you don't have to worry about installing hardware and software and the sizing and how much storage and how fast is the storage and so on. All of that goes away. And we have an infrastructure that can scale up as large as you possibly could need it. And that's ready for you, available from day one. The other one, and this is one that I think a lot of people don't consider when they're thinking about the cost of a SIEM, is it's important that you have a SIEM, obviously that's cost effective, but more importantly is how many alerts and how efficacious are those alerts that you're putting in front of your SOC. If you have kind of a legacy SIEM, doesn't do a great job in terms of noise reduction, yes, it's cost effective, but on average, maybe you've got 1 to 5 customers in terms of your analyst to customer ratio, 1 to 7. When you look at Cloud SIEM and what we can do from an orchestration and automation point and a noise reduction standpoint, being able to bring all that data and then prioritize out of all those tens of thousands of alerts where your SOC needs to be spending time means that each of your SOC analysts can support many more customers than you typically would on a legacy SIEM. And that can have a huge reduction, not only in the value that you're providing, but more importantly, in the cost of providing that service. So I've got a question here. Do we have predictable costs for MSPs? Absolutely. So prior to working with Sumo, I worked for a couple of different MSSPs bringing services to market, and predictability is huge. You have to understand what your COGS are as part of that service that you're presenting. And so we built a very unique program specifically for service providers to normalize your costs globally in using the platform and make it extremely predictable in terms of what it's going to cost, regardless of the size of your customers. And as you bring on more customers and as you use the platform more, obviously there's lots of ways that we can help you in reducing those costs going forward. Next slide. So I think this is my last slide. Overall, we have a lot of different service providers that we're working with globally. It's very interesting in how they go to market, and this makes it great because from a customer basis, we want to have lots of different service providers who have different specialties, different geo focuses, and so on. A couple of things that I'll call out here. One is one of the largest MDRs in the world, eSentire, uses Sumo as part of their platform. They've been working with us now for many, many years, and really one of the fastest growing partners that we have. And they had their own IP, their own SOC. They had an established kind of name in the marketplace when it comes to MDR, managed detection and response. They're actually one of the first MDR only providers in the world. But what they didn't have was a platform that could bring in data scalably from anywhere in the world and was really easy and fast for them to use as they're onboarding customers. And so that's where they started talking to us a few years ago and started leveraging the platform, and they love it. It's basically been something that's been great for their customers. It's been great for us. And it's really differentiated eSentire to what has become a very competitive field because of their ability to spin up the service literally within days, provide value within days, have Sumo backing there where customers can actually see their data. They can query that data if needed, and it's all there from a compliance standpoint in a secure format. And that's one thing that we haven't talked about. We have an infrastructure that has more credible security and provable compliance requirements than really just about anything out there. We do PCI, we do high trust, which is a healthcare kind of specific compliance audit every year. We also do SOC 2, we do ISO 27001, we work with GDPR requirements and so on. So if you look at the attestations that we have and the level of security that we have in the platform in terms of encrypting in transit, encrypting at rest, that's what the customers want to see when you're offering security. They want to see a platform that has demonstrable controls to ensure that their data is secure. And really nobody has the amount of demonstrable controls that we do.
Awesome.
So I think that's it for me, unless there's any questions.
Awesome, Roger. There might be more questions, but I'll probably have a few more. And please come in at any point as I go into our security agenda with Sumo Logic. So I think just moving on, and from what Roger talked about is about Sumo Logic. And I think I want to reference and come back to this very important point is that we are all MSPs, service providers, partners, building digital services, and we're securing these services across a life cycle. So for Sumo Logic, many of our customers today start with their infrastructure, but lead to the complete stack. Many service providers are helping customers not only with their infrastructure, but with their applications. But there is a big shift and movement taking place in cloud and in the digital world. And for 10 years now, Sumo has been helping customers on their journeys. So whether it be Netflix or Samsung or HelloFresh or SAP or Alaska Airlines or Tokyo Marine, the most important thing is how development and agile development has progressed. Roger talked about standards of compliance. We work with customers who are building high performance agile DevOps practices, aligning safe and aligning modern frameworks to drive better deployment, higher automation, to manage that velocity. The other is a journey. Many customers are on a transition and migration path. So we're seeing this movement from on-prem to a digital native world, but also really spend a lot of time helping customers manage their portability and interoperability in the hybrid multi-cloud world. And lastly, as a technician, as an architect, microservices never underestimate the complexity. never underestimate the innovation of the functions. If we look at serverless, Lambda, EKS, Kubernetes, there's innovation taking place. And what's really happening and how we're building this business with our partners is helping modernize that application stack. So it's not only about the cloud vendor, it's also about the application, the user, the edge, and it's that whole ecosystem that needs to be managed. Again, it's not just about one cloud, it's about a multi-cloud world that leads to that technology complexity, immutability, ephemerality, and distribution is a really big issue when coming to face the new delivery around these applications. Multi-cloud, continuous security. So Roger stressed on the fact of us being a security first company, protecting the telemetry. We need to make sure that we have the credentials, we have the recognition and certifications to protect customers' data and really align to those standards that are being applied in the industry. And lastly, it's about collaboration. And the most important is how data is driving those decisions and helping in the automation and decision-making. But as these services grow, the stack gets more complex and it leads to complicated visibility, dealing with the processes around configuration and access. There's a continuous change, the velocity, the voracity, the variety, just within configurations of applications and the stack is really amazing. And it's just amazing to see the amount of data being generated in that full stack. And lastly, Roger pointed out to this, is that there is a sophisticated threat and person out there, and the attack surface is broadening, more alerts are being generated, and we are exposing ourselves to many, many blind spots. And I will talk about that later. The other one that's really, I think, very important, and I wanted to bring this to this discussion, is we're all in COVID, facing the pandemic, but there's been a significant change in how our MSPs, how our MSSPs, and how our partners are working with our customers to drive the acceleration and transformation with COVID. And I just broke this up, so please come, and if you have any more questions, please come and join me on LinkedIn. But we have some background data from our own internal observations that supports what Roger was talking about, but also looking at the trends in change. There's a shift left movement. Security is becoming extremely important across the organization, and it's driving change in that transformation. Now, why I wanted to bring this, I authored very recently, and I'll talk about that, a topic around cloud migration, lift and shift, and really look at the technology to help that migration. We are living today in a multi-hybrid world. And many of our customers have applications that span many multiple clouds. But there are new borders being generated, so new perimeters and new borders. And the interoperability at the edge for the user and for the data center and for the application becomes extremely important. So we wanted to make sure that together with our partners, we would have the leading technology, the most innovative technology. So we are recognized for our cloud SIM, a visionary by Gartner, so a very detailed report on what we're offering today and really driving that innovation around the SIM. but we've extended this to our SOAR to really open up the automation framework to encourage old and new legacy customers and legacy and traditional partners who really want to move towards the new world. The other, Roger, you talked about was workload protection. So as we're working from home, as we learn to work in a hybrid world, we need to understand that threat takes place at the user, it takes place at the edge, and it takes place at all layers in your application and infrastructure stack. So we need to make sure that we can give the tools and we can provide that extra value. And I like what Roger said, fast and secure. And we're coming really unimaginable use cases to integrate SIM and SOAR, look at XDR, MDR, but really drive this from a cloud native platform that offers that visibility. Now, Roger touched on this earlier, so I encourage you to actually go and take a look at some of the reports out there, but I wanted to pick up on 5 use cases that our MSPs and us are solving today. So the first one is really based around security posture and looking at the area around threat and breach and trying to actually harden up that environment to make sure that you're not attacked and you know the unknown of unknowns. The second is close to my heart, is because I've always been in monitoring and IT, really coming from the Tivoli IBM days, HP, VMware to here, is missing out, knowing the gaps, the blind spots, chasing false positives when you're sorting out a critical root cause. Blind spots, performance, security, inefficient threat remediation is still something that affects many customers. So together with our MSPs, with what Roger talked about, is offer a service, a rapid service with great value and drive that innovation. Now, the last two, assembling data, logs, metrics, traces, signals, events, alerts, there's a lot out there. And to actually focus on the actionable data and to make it ready for compliance, to make it ready for security, to make it ready to drive that troubleshooting and detection is critical. And I'll say this now, but legacy systems, I'm a legacy guy. Legacy systems don't cut it today. I talk to a lot of architects today. I talk to many partners today, and we really look at the areas where scalability, best economical efficiency, consumption model, tiered analytics, and the ability to really drive a modern architecture impacts a lot of the companies out there who are offering cloud-washed solutions. We are a true SaaS cloud-native platform that really tries to drive a better economic model. So again, best ROI. So Dale and Roger, if there's anything to add, please do. But I often get asked is, what is different? What is it that you offer? So we offer a single platform, but we offer and package our solutions so that you grow and mature. And you look at the key areas of business today that our partners and our MSPs are taking forward. The first, and it's got nothing to do with the region, but regulation and compliance, PCI, HIPAA, really looking at the attestations to drive better privacy, protection, and safety. If we talk about Pokemon, if we talk about Sega, if we talk about Alaska Airlines or Samsung, every single customer has an agenda to regulate and prove that their services are safe. The second is about really looking at analytics, modern analytics around security. And this is where Sumo has really driven its differentiation around focusing on the actionable data. And then really, I've been in the industry for a long time, and SIM used to be a very dirty word. It's still a dirty word. But what we're doing is re-establishing ourselves as a cloud native SIM to automatically triage and detect. So intelligence and having that out of the box capability to troubleshoot threats and diagnose them is critical for the SOC analyst. But these users don't sit on their own. They collaborate with SREs, DevOps engineers, operational staff. So SecOps, DevOps, and DevSecOps. And lastly, Cloud SOAR. I'm very excited that our EMEA operation based out of Milan, we acquired a company called DFL Labs to really take our security offering to the next level. So SOC efficiency and automation is key for our customers. And what we're seeing today is the powerful combo and the integration to drive a single platform, to drive these unimaginable use cases that allow us to aggregate the right data, investigate, detect threats, and correlate change at scale. And I really mean that sincerely, is collection, enrichment, making data actionable and reusable and more democratized in a safe way really allows us to take that automation agenda forward. So orchestrate, automate, and respond with context. My favorite, sorry, did you want to say something there?
Yeah, I just want to say something. I think you've actually covered the sort of breadth of the platform, in great detail there, Colin. If I look at this, what benefits does it bring a service provider? Okay, service providers need to consistently evolve their service that they're taking to market. Otherwise, they'll experience customer churn, right? And what you've actually illustrated there, Colin, is how with Sumo they can evolve and basically expand their service. Okay, it's not about what the market needs today. It's how do they sort of future-proof their offering. Okay, and I think with the acquisitions that we've made and the breadth of the portfolio, predictable revenue capabilities and recurring revenue capabilities, I think we're perfectly aligned to support the people on the call. Happy to take questions on that.
Very good, Dale. So customer advocacy and relationship, more and more data. And build this agenda together is very critical. And I will go further to say is that I actually believe that our MSPs are going to innovate together with us and help us on this agenda. So very timely is the importance of embracing open standards, having a flexible open framework that allows us to quickly integrate and onboard and again have the information and the solutions available on demand in real time. So something to your point there, Dale, is this is over 10 years we've been building our practice to drive this DevSecOps framework, but we are encouraging our MSPs to embrace this innovation. And I think what people are looking for today is how do I innovate, but how do I innovate at scale, with the best economics and value. So please take a look at our App Intelligence Ecosystem program. We also have secure, specific, if you look at the secure layer, we have apps that are out of the box, ready to go with many of the large ISVs and partners out there. So Cloud SOAR and SIM as a business to drive an open framework for automation is going to be really key with our MSPs. So we touched on this, is our agenda today is really around security. but I've been in the industry now looking at monitoring for a very long time, but we are already seeing a convergence, and security, application performance monitoring, logs, metrics, and traces are all converging together and becoming now that agenda to drive complete observability. So when I get excited when MSPs talk about the 360 observability full stack go to market, but many also MSPs want to focus on security or focus on different compliance, and then build their business, as Dale mentioned, on a recurring and growth path that really drives a bigger agenda for transformation.
Just a comment before we go on to Tommaso is this convergence. We see this as let's say, an evolution, for revenue growth for the service provider. And with our platform, we encourage the end user with the service provider's permission to actually have hands-on and use the technology. So that's another advantage of the program. What we're trying to do is give the service providers a sticky solution to allow cross-sell and upsells on the back of their existing contracts. Okay.
Super, Dave. That's excellent. So with further ado, we've talked enough about how we do it and what we're doing, but I really want to hand over to, I'm very excited to have Tommaso Bucci join us today and to talk a bit about what it means to work with Sumo and our MSP program, and talk a bit about what he does and what's the secret sauce. So over to you, Tommaso.
Thank you very much, Colin. Okay, so I will try to explain you why we decided to work with Sumo Logic by these next slides. Can you go ahead?
Yes.
Another one, please. So I will try to tell you something about Axitea, why SOC is a so important piece of any, let me say, any cybersecurity defense infrastructure, and then why we decided to work with the Sumo Logic. Next slide. Axitea works with small and medium businesses, but also large enterprises, taking care about their security needs. We design, implements, and develops solution, but above all, manage security services in order to meet the customer needs. So we have more than 450 cybersecurity customers. We have a 24/7 security operations center with a disaster recovery site, twin of our SOC. We have more than 120 system engineers, SOC operators, and cyber analysts. And we have more than 20 technology partnership with vendors. Another slide, please. This is basically our value proposition. We believe that we have an academy that is able to deliver training courses for our customers, training courses based on security. Of course, we have a security operations center that you will see some more details in the next slide, an innovation and testing lab. That means that we search day after day about a new technology that are going to improve our services and solution. Sumo Logic went through this testing lab in order to be our partner of choice. We have a cyber knowledge factory. We have, of course, personnel with high skill and certification. But most of all, we work every day, all day long, in order to make our services, managed services, really effective and more effective for us, but more above all for our customers. Next slide. This is our security operations center. I want to tell about our SOC as an ecosystem that is not only delivers managed security services, but also able to effectively respond to the challenges and to the problem that companies are facing within the cybersecurity market. In order to do that, you need technology in order to support in the right way this this possibility, and then we will see which way Sumo Logic give us this possibility. Just a couple of things I want to add about our SOC. One important thing is that we are able to collect and correlate data and events, let me say security events from the physical environment, but also from the IT environment, and also from the operational technology environment. We not only we collect and correlate all these events. This is really important in some cases for a certain kind of companies. This makes a lot of sense on this. Sumo Logic helped us a lot. We cover, let's say, many customers also around the world in different geographies. We go from Tajikistan to Dubai, from to Argentina to Canada, from Canada to Australia. So we are able to follow all these customers around the world. And this is very important for really effective services for the SOC. Then another thing, we believe that SOC is not only the structure that can be able in order to detect, investigate, analyze, and then resolve a problem with security problem within the customer environment. But after all this process, I mean, the most important thing is that it can deliver information, knowledge, let me say, a lesson learned about what happened to the customer. And this is very important because by this lesson learned is not only possible to improve the security infrastructure of any customer, is not only useful in order to improve it, to make better their organization, but it is important in order to increase, let me say, make a better company culture about security. Next slide, Colin, please. Why SOC? Why SOC as a service? Because this is really important to understand for us. Most of our customers are small and medium business, let me say, and the as a service is really important for this kind of companies. SOC is important not only because the technology landscape, the use cases are changing a lot. You already heard a lot of things about that. You also know better than me that cyber attacks are growing more and more any day, and are growing and making bigger in terms of number and complexity of those attacks. And the other things that are really important that these attacks are targeting companies of any industries and any size. So no one is safe. The other thing is, what we already heard something about that, the SOC costs a lot of money if you want to develop internally a SOC. This is not only a matter of technology, it is not only a matter of infrastructure, but is also a problem related to the expensive resources that you need in order to operate a SOC. So this is the reason why as a service is, let me say, a key differentiation in order to provide these services to the market. Then the other things is that about the industry regulation are asking more and more for IT asset monitorings and cyber incident timely managed, and things like that. All these kind of things, more what you already heard about the presentation is making growing the demand for SOC. Next slide, Colin, please. So the demand for SOC as a service is growing at a very fast pace, and we want to catch as Axitea this opportunity that the market is giving us. As Axitea, we worked with two different SIEM, Alien Vault, that is now AT&T Cybersecurity, and Elastic. Two different platforms. Elastic is a very good engine in order to manage a lot quantity of data, okay, but you have to develop on your own everything in order to make correlation about this data. So you can have a very good SIEM with Elastic only after years of investment in developing that solution. Okay, Allen Vault is a unified security management solution. That means that you can, first of all, you can just manage security events in it. And then you have also add-on like vulnerability management capabilities, MDR capabilities, but all these features are built within within Allen Vault, okay, within the SIEM, so you cannot take advantage of the technology that are already implemented at customer sites. So this is a very it is a limit, let me say, in order to gain new customers, new clients for us. It was a limit. So in order to catch this opportunity on the market, we decided to change our platform, our SIEM platform, and platform that should be, let me say, that allow customer to scale with the flexibility and granularity without the high startup cost, let me say, but also with the easy of connecting new customer, new technology within the SIEM in order to collect more sources. Of course, the solution must reduce the cost of the people involved in the investigation process, detection, investigation, and response process of the incident. And then the need, to have a tool that is able to provide response automation is really important. Exactly for the reason I was just telling you before. We need to use, to exploit, to make a better use of the technology that our customers are already using and already have implemented at their own. Next slide, please, Colin. So we had basically this objective that for our growing project in order to catch the new opportunities on the market. First of all, we wanted to consolidate all our customers on a single platform. We were going flip-flopping from Elastic to Allen Vault back and forward. This is not good. Okay, we needed to have a reduction of management times of the platform. For a managed system service provider, it is really important to have a tool that gives us the possibility to invest the minimum time possible in order to investigate an attack, investigate an incident at the customer sites, and also to make the right resolution of these accidents. So the reduction of these times is really important for an MSP. We need also a solution that give us the possibility to make an easy onboarding of new customers. That means not only in general, let me say, but the possibility to have to make onboarding of any kind of sources this customer can have installed at their premises. We need to have also data ingestion, an easy data ingestion. So we need to collect all the logs from this system, from these sources in a very easy way. And then we needed also to have this commercial flexibility in order to go to the market with providing and telling to the customer that they can grow with us in a very granular way. This is basically some of the solution that I was mentioned before, like Allen Vault and so on. They used to give us instances that are measured in different size, let me say, 500 gigabytes, then 1 terabyte, and so on, in order to collect log. You can easily understand that is not good when you have a customer that has 600 gigabytes of logs, they have to pay for 1 terabyte. So this is a waste of storage time, of storage capacity, of course, but of course it is impacting also on the price that the customer is paying for this service. And the granularity of Sumo Logic is really important in order to avoid, to make, to win easier, in an easier way, customer. And then the possibility, based on the kind of licensing of Sumo Logic that is based on credits, the possibility, and this is really important for an MSP, to reallocate purchased but not unused capacity to other customers. If the one customer is going to leave us, I can use the same credit in order to provide service to other customers. If one customer is going to diminish the quantity of logs that are going to send us, we can use the quantity of credit in order to provide service to other customers. Next slide, please, Colin. One back, maybe already, okay. So this is basically what I already told you. The key points of differentiation between Sumo Logic and Elastic, Sumo Logic and AliVault are here listed. So we have a very simple way in order to import logs from any kind of sources, even IoT, everything that is saying something in terms of log, we can import and analyze these logs. Then another important thing is that we pay on the ingestion time. We are not paying on logs already enriched. That means when a log is already enriched, the log is bigger than his original size, let me say. Then we have the possibility to parse any kind of platform. We have possibility to make a dashboard out of the box in a very simple way. It is very easy to create, to design new dashboard that is really important, not only for us, but also for our customers, because an MSP also has to give to the customer the possibility to have visibility on what is going on, what happened. So we can give to the customer the possibility to design their own dashboard because they want to have that kind of visibility about what is going on within their infrastructure. And this is very simple, very really appreciated from customer. Then we had very good direct support from Sumo Logic for creating this customization of the apps dashboard. This is very good. The user interface of Sumo Logic is very, very good. This is really important. When you need a very good user interface, better is the user interface, better is the ability to have in order to understand what's going on. So you can react in a shorter time, let me say. All the information are well stored. We can navigate in a very easy way within the platform. The query language is really simple, so we are able to create new correlation rules in a very simple way. That means we can have a new correlation rule in a shorter time, and this is key in order to avoid to make a counter in order to avoid that an attack can become an incident. This free charge integration with CrowdStrike, because CrowdStrike is universally recognized as one of the best threat intelligence sources. Really appreciated this integration. And then the simple installation of the agents of the collector at the customer sites in order to collect logs. This is, of course, really important. So basically no impact within the on the customer infrastructure. Next slide. We thanks to Sumo Logic, we have been able and also to develop new business, new services. That means not only SOC, a SOC is a service. A SOC can only detect, analyze, investigate, and make also prevention activity, but it cannot do anything in terms of response. So that the importance to have a SOAR is based on that. Thanks to a SOAR, I can leverage the technology that are already installed at the customer premises, at the customer site, in order to realize that response component that is really important, especially for that kind of customer that are not organized with IT teams that are specialized and well-formed about the kind of intervention that they have to do in order to manage an incident. Then we developed a NOC-like service, because thanks to the observability, we can monitor all the application or systems or infrastructure network functionality. And then we can also provide services in a white label way that can be used for other partners, and that for other partners in order to give to their customers SOC as a service, even if they don't have the right organization, the right resources, the right possibility in order to develop this kind of service at their own. I think that already, yes, I told you, I said everything. If you have some question at the end of this presentation, I can reply to this question.
Well, thank you, Tommaso. There will be questions for you, so we'll send out the details. We're cautious of time. So I just want to end very quickly and thank Thomas for that great example of partnership with Sumo. So Thomas, you talked about expansion, and I really just want to emphasize the importance of this webinar to our audience, is to really look at the concept of expanding the business from security and moving it into observability, but really reaching out and looking at some of the examples and the customers and partners that we've worked with today. So please take a look online at our resources, at our blogs, and we've created some white papers that really address this importance around digital transformation and how we're boosting our migration and transformation activities with our partners. And at this time, I will leave you and will provide you with a PDF that will show you some of these use cases that some of our partners are delivering today. So with that, I want to just close the webinar down and then reach out if there are any questions at the end. But please reach out to Sumo. Please reach out to our contacts in EMEA, that's Dale Powers, and take a look at and see what's online and connect with us socially through LinkedIn. We're pretty active today, and we've made some few announcements around security recently, and we sincerely look forward to hosting our panel and our attendees again very soon. So with that, I don't know, were there any key questions in the chat that we need to pick up? I'll just take one for now. It talked about coexistence with SIM technologies. And it's important to understand that we are working today with our open frameworks and our collections to make it easy to actually also look at other technologies. So we work today with many other partners and integrators. So I encourage you to really take a look at our open frameworks to look at that powerful combination and integration. And again, as a service provider, we want to make sure that it's economically viable and we can offer a business today that will grow for you. So I want to thank you for staying for the whole hour. Is there anything else you want to say, Dale or Roger, from your side?
I'd just like to thank Tommaso. I thought that was an excellent presentation, Tommaso. I think from a customer perspective, it was excellent. You're basically picking up on all the pertinent, salient points as to how we can support you in a business. So I'd just like to thank you, Tommaso. Well done, well done.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're
That's it.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Roger.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.